Hello. Hello, my friends. How are you? I want to share with you today some insights on the mystery of time. So I'm holding this issue of the New Scientist in my hand. It's only recently, June 18th, 2020. And the cover story is time. Time. So just to share a few insights and where I agree or don't agree, not that it matters what I think, but I still want to share it with you, because this mystery has been a source of curiosity for me all my life. And so here it is. The article says Mysteries of Time. And I'll just quote a few things. It's here. Space-time isn't absolute, but relative, warped by motion and gravity. If you travel fast, or if you are in a strong gravitational field, it slows down. Quoting Einstein here, he says, the relativity of time has wide-ranging consequences. Because there's no unique way of defining its passage, there's no unique way of defining now. Einstein concluded that all nows, past, present, and future, must exist simultaneously. A picture known as the block universe that is completely at odds with our intuitions. Now, going a little deeper here into some of the insights. They're all very fascinating. He says, what affects our perception of time? Moment to moment, our emotional state can affect how we perceive time passing. It seems to fly when you're having fun and drags when you're bored. This may have to do with how our body processes time. The theory of embodied cognition says it is the processing of physical emotions and sensations that creates our perception of the world around us, including our sense of time. The body has numerous rhythms, after all, from the beating of the heart to the hunger in our stomach, that might all give the brain a sense of how much time has passed. Then he talks about evolution. How much time does evolution take? And quotes Darwin as saying in The Origin of Species, we see nothing of these slow changes that occur in evolution. We see nothing of these slow changes in progress until the hand of time has marked the long lapse of ages. And what else? Over here, how do we make the most of our time, regardless of whether it is counted by watching the sun pass across the sky or by an atomic clock? Time is something we tend to want to extract the most value from before we die. That might be because of our unique awareness that we will inevitably die, which gives us a nagging sense that we are wasting what little time we have. Are you wasting what little time you have? Subconscious fears about death drive much of the human thought and behavior, according to psychology's terror management theory. The idea is that we would be overwhelmed. The idea is that we would be overwhelmed with existential terror if we didn't have some way to manage it. More specifically, research demonstrates that when people consciously reflect on death, they can boost their sense of self-worth, become more socially altruistic, and more open to novel experiences. Then he quotes a scientist as saying, The more memorable events you have stored in your memory, the larger your subjective time. So novelty slows down the experience of time. Another benefit of having the experience of timelessness is an intense feeling of being in the present. This is something Mark Whitman at the Institute for Frontier Areas of Psychology and Mental Health in Freiburg, Germany, has been exploring too. And if you go on a flotation tank, you can experience this. In a flotation tank, time passes very slowly, and at some point you lose your sense of self. Does time to come to an end? Well, since it began, according to these theories, with a Big Bang, it also ends when there is the heat death of absolute zero. And time stops. So time began. What was there before time? The question doesn't make any sense because before time doesn't mean anything, nor does after the end of time, in the heat death of absolute zero, time doesn't mean anything. So while these are amazing insights and articles, I have one basic problem. Because again, in every reference and every talk about even the sense of time, it is a physicalist theory that helps us get some inferential understanding of what time is. So, of course, an inferential understanding is not good enough. We need a direct understanding. But all these inferences and all this inferential understanding is based on a physicalist worldview, that we are embodied observers observing a physical world, and that the brain is processing all this information, circadian, seasonal, gravitational, and even lunar rhythms, and all the cosmic rhythms are being orchestrated in our body through our brain, the brain being a physical object, and the body also being a physical object. But as I've shared with you many times, I hope, the brain is a physical object itself. And how does a physical object process a non-physical entity such as time? So, of course, the physicalists don't like this argument. They say space-time is and its curvature is what determines gravity, and gravity is related to mass, and mass warps space-time, it bends space-time, something that you can't even imagine. It's not cognitively possible to imagine the warping of space-time as gravity. So, there's a famous expression, mass tells space-time how to curve, and space-time tells mass how to move. Now, these are all very amazing mathematical theories that are derived through equations in mathematics, in human consciousness. But the warping of space-time is something you can't imagine. And everything that these guys talk about is within the realms of partial imagination, but ultimately leaves a big conundrum. And that is, if you don't understand consciousness, then you don't understand time. The brain is a particular mode of experience in consciousness. It's not even a physical object, it's a verb. It's a verb. The neural connections change with every experience, including the experience you and I are having. Nor is the body a physical object, it's a verb. And both brain and body are perceptual modifications of pure awareness, which is timeless, because pure awareness doesn't have a form and doesn't have a border. And so it is infinite. And in that infinity of potentials for space-time causality, past, present, and future, all time exists simultaneously as no time. Now, of course, there are some good points made in the article about, how the fear of death has encouraged people to value time. And of course, today they talk about time management, and time is money, and time is a very good resource. But what nobody has told you, or as far as I know, is telling you that time and space and form and phenomena are all constructs in the human mind. And somehow what we call the universe, consciousness, time, space, are all, in a sense, constructions not of the brain, but constructions in human consciousness. The constructions in human consciousness. A friend of mine has written this very beautiful monograph called Psychology of Construction. So everything that you call reality, space-time causality, form, phenomena, objects, all your construction, all you are, meaning collective humanity, the matrix of human experiences and consciousness have constructed the notion of time. And having constructed the notion of time, we have all these conundrums: birth, death, everything in between, the journey from fertilized egg to all the way to dusty death. So let's get rid of all this and understand that time is our creation. And how we create that experience affects the fictional character that we usually call me, this body-mind apparatus evolving through space and time, because the body-mind apparatus is also embedded in the dreamscape that we call space and time. So, of course, we all know for sure that death happens to that which is born. Otherwise, and that's the whole story of time. It's a story. It's a karmic story for each of us, our experience of time. But when you transcend time, you transcend perceptions, you transcend sensations, you transcend all forms of experience, both subtle and gross or physical or perceptual. Then you enter the domain of timeless being, which is referred to as Sat Chit Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. Existence, awareness, bliss. Bliss because time is the movement of thought. Time is the movement of sensations, sense perceptions, images, feelings, and thoughts that separate the observer from the observed. When the observer and the observed become one, when the seer and the scenery become one, when the lover and the beloved become one, time disappears and there's only bliss, and there's no birth, nor is there death. So, in the Vedic tradition and the wisdom traditions, there's a saying, time is the consumer and we are its food. We are time's food. But where is time being processed? It is being processed in that which is timeless, non-local. So settle into your being and enter the source. Chit vritti nirod, the most important teaching in yoga. When the fluctuations of experience die down, you will settle into pure awareness, which is the source of all existence in the universe. All timescapes, all dreamscapes, all lokas, and all movements of consciousness in motion. You and I are the universe in ecstatic motion. And that motion creates the notion of time. Time is the consumer, and we are its food. Let me know if this is useful to you, and we'll soon begin our teachings on consciousness studies as tutorials and back and forth experiences like what they call these days masterclass, etc. Okay, enough for today. I've taken a lot of your time.